Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. Elmer Holt, CTI PFAN Manager, CTI Executive Committee Chair, to give us welcome address.
Thank you very much and good morning. The honored guests, colleagues, and friends, welcome to the third CTI PFAN Asia Forum for Clean Energy Financing. We are pleased to be here in the friendly city of Singapore, and thanks to our sponsors and organizers for making that possible. Besides the 11 member countries of the Climate Technology Initiative, our sponsors and organizers include the United States Agency for International Development, the International Center for Environmental Technology Transfer, the Asia Development Bank, Dawn Consulting, PPL International, Energy for All, the Sustainable Energy Association of Singapore, REX Capital Asia, Future Ready Singapore, ADB Singapore, and BANCIA. Obviously, we're not lonely for organizers and sponsors. I began my list of sponsors and organizers with the 11 member countries of the Climate Technology Initiative. As I said, I began my list of sponsors and organizers with the 11 member countries of the Climate Technology Initiative. Some of you may not be familiar with who we are, so allow me a few minutes to sort of summarize who we are and how we affected this event here today. The CTI is a multilateral activity, originally formed at the first conference of the parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in 1995. It was formed with the purpose of supporting the objective of the Framework Convention through enhanced technology transfer by promoting the more rapid adoption and diffusion of climate-friendly technologies and practices. During 2003, the CTI was reformed as an implementing agreement under the International Energy Agency. The membership is comprised of Australia, Austria, Canada, Finland, Germany, Japan, Norway, the Republic of Korea, Sweden, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Over the years, CTI has conducted a broad range of capacity building workshops, training courses, joint seminars, and related activities in furtherance of our objectives to promote the more rapid adoption and diffusion of climate-friendly technologies and practices, particularly in developing and transition countries. These activities have involved literally thousands of people from all over the world. During the course of these activities, we heard a recurring message, that being that climate-friendly technologies were not being adopted fast enough due to a shortage of good projects coupled with a shortage of funds for investment. To explore the merits of these claims and to see if there was an innovative solution, the CTI, in cooperation with the Expert Group on Technology Transfer under the Framework Convention, convened a workshop in Canada during 2004. The workshop brought together a wide range of developing countries along with key developing country private and public sector representatives, multilateral organizations, developed country private and public sector representatives, NGOs, and other stakeholders to discuss the issue. From this gathering, there emerged an improved understanding of the respective positions of the various groups, along with some important messages. Probably the most important such message was that there was not a shortage of private sector investment, and there was not a shortage of good projects. Instead, there was a shortage of good project financing proposals capable of communicating the merits of such projects to the international finance community, basically getting folks to talk to one another. To rectify this situation, participants at the workshop suggested having finance professionals work with selected projects on an individual basis as mentor or coach to see if the project financing proposals could be developed further, meeting the standards of the international finance community. Over the course of the next year, several experienced financial professionals worked with project proponents, reporting back on the results of the this coaching to a second workshop in Germany in 2005. Based upon the encouraging results achieved through this mentoring process and further discussions at the workshop, birth was given to what would become the CTI Private Financing Advisory Network, or CTI PFAN. To test the concept further, the CTI countries sponsored a nearly 2-year pilot program where Mr. Peter Story, currently our global coordinator, played a major leadership role. The favorable results of this pilot program attracted the attention of USAID climate teams in Washington and Bangkok. USAID had the confidence and vision to provide additional funding to scale up the CTI PFAN operations, and for that we are eternally grateful. Since then, the CTI countries, USAID, the Japanese Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, the U.S. Department of State, ICET, REAP, and others have provided resources to further scale up this creative approach to facilitating access to private capital markets to finance clean energy and other environmentally sound projects. To date, the CTI has been successful in facilitating over $430 million US in investment for 38 projects in 13 countries. These projects have the potential to reduce annual greenhouse gas emissions by approximately 2 million tons CO2 equivalent. In addition to these projects, which reach financial closure, we have over 160 projects in our project development pipeline. As many of you know, projects enter into the CTI PFAN process both on an unsolicited basis and through financing forms such as we are having here today. Today is the culmination of this third CTI PFAN Asia Forum for Clean Energy Financing that began with a call for proposals in July of 2012. We are very proud of the projects that responded and the impressive manner in which they have matured over the past 8 months due to their personal commitment and that of the assigned coaches from the CTI, PFAN. Shortly, we will be hearing from the top 10 finalists as they present their investor pitch in support of their business plan. They will be judged by a panel of experts. I'm confident that you will enjoy their presentations on these projects representing a variety of technologies being applied in 6 different countries that, along with their economic benefits, have a range of social and environmental benefits as well. Before I conclude, I would like to recognize the CTI Secretariat under the leadership of Mr. Taiki Kuroda, who has obviously worked with many of you over the last several months and helped and worked with the sponsors and organizers to bring all this together. Also, I would like to thank the judges for giving their time to be here with us today and their expertise. And also, finally, of course, to the coaches who have worked diligently with the projects, the developers, and sharing their ideas, and of course, hopefully improving the quality of the proposals and making them more investor ready. On that, I will conclude my remarks, wishing the projects well, and trust that you will benefit from today's proceedings. Thank you very much.
Next, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our guest of honor, Mr. Miyaji from Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industries of Japan, to give us keynote address.
Thank you so much for an introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Miyaji from the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry of Japan. I'm in charge of research and development of technologies that contribute to preventing global warming, as well as the demonstration, test, and transfer of technologies. It is my great pleasure for me to have this opportunity to address keynote speech here in Singapore. First of all, in beginning this CTI PFAN Asian Forum for Clean Energy Financing, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all CTI member countries, as well as all of sponsors, related organizations, and secretariats. In order to address global warming issues, Japan believes that it is imperative to take measures to promote the international activities of Japanese enterprises and their transfer of technologies effectively, while pursuing the achievement of the United Nations negotiations on climate change. While working together with international organizations and various countries, Japan, as a member of the international society, has been joining the implementing agreement of the IEA since 2003 and has been contributing to the CTI, one of the activities under the implementing agreement. Japan is now serving as a vice chair of the CTI. The Environmental Technology Transfer Seminar among CTI activities has been held through METI's endorsement to ICET as part of the seminar symposium led by Japan. As a result, we are pleased to hold this forum as a venue of introduction to investors. To effectively address the climate change issue, Japan believes that 3 actions are needed. First, both developed and developing countries should achieve the low carbon growth using technology, market, and finance. Second, to this end, as part of advanced low carbon technologies and products that reduce greenhouse gas emissions, we should promote the dissemination of renewable energy, high efficiency power generation, energy saving home appliances, low fuel consumption vehicles, energy saving at factories, and CCS. And third, we should properly combine such technologies and products with the system, service, and infrastructure in order to achieve a low-carbon society. Together with promoting the initiative to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and renewables, Japan has been making utmost effort to achieve the target of the first commitment period under the Kyoto Protocol by acquisition of credit from the Kyoto mechanism. Although Japan will not participate in the second commitment period under the Kyoto Protocol, Japan will continue to strive to actively address the prevention of global warming from 2013. As one of the initiatives, we have been promoting bilateral offset credit mechanism. Under this mechanism, we will implement projects that introduce Japan's excellent low-carbon technologies, products, and services in developing nations and quantitatively assess the amount of green gas emission reductions from these projects. The credit, the amount of verified emission reductions, will be used to achieve Japan's emission reduction targets. By creating this mechanism, we are intent to help developing countries realize a low carbon growth that keeps a balance between reduction of emissions and economic growth. To this end, government-to-government talks to build the bilateral offset credit mechanism started in 2011, centering on Asian nations. Japan is now accelerating the governmental consultations with Mongolia, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Indonesia to begin the operation of the system as soon as possible, and signed bilateral documents with Mongolia on this January. In addition to those countries, we have also held bilateral talks with Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia. Those talks are attracting a lot of attention from many countries. Along with the intergovernmental talks to explore projects or activities expected to be implemented under the mechanism, we have been conducting about 180 feasibility studies in 30 nations, especially in Asia. From this year, we will begin operating the mechanism and at the same time provide financial support for the actual introduction of Japan's outstanding technology and equipment, and carry out a model project to measure and demonstrate actual emission reductions. Thus, we will accelerate talks with other countries even further and promote actions for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions on a global basis. Through these efforts, we will also contribute to the accomplishment of ultimate purpose of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Finally, to address climate change issue, it is crucial for both developed and developing countries to utilize technology, market, and finance effectively, thereby promoting the wider use of advanced low-carbon technologies and products that contribute to prevention of global warming. Through this forum, I anticipate you please boost investments in a project providing technology, products, and service, and ensure the contribution to prevention global warming more. I also express my respect for the members of the team that were preparing for this forum, and I wish today's presentation to succeed. Thank you for your attention.
Next, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our guest of honor, Mr. Charles Navarro, Energy for All Program, Asian Development Bank, to give us keynote address on behalf of Mr. Jiwan Acharya.
Thank you, Kumiko-san. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the organizers and the sponsors for giving me this opportunity to speak in front of you and present Energy for All. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to give a little background about what ADB is doing and where the Energy for All program comes in and why it's relevant for us to partner with the CTI PFAN. So as you know, ADB's vision is an Asia-Pacific region free of poverty. And we recognize the fact that energy is key in any form of economic development. And in the past few decades, ADB has invested a lot in generation, power plants, traditional and renewable, and extending the grid. But recently, we realized that in most countries, extending the grid any further does not make any economic sense anymore because of the lack of concentration of the population there. And so we are faced with a problem because even despite all the efforts, there are still 640 million people in Asia and the Pacific who do not have access to modern energy. So what do we do? As a multilateral institution, we usually partner with the public sector. And now we recognize that we cannot do it alone. And therefore, this is where the private sector comes in. And this is where the Energy for All initiative comes in, because one of the things we want to do is we want to support companies, private sector companies who provide an energy access impact to find investment, continue what they do so that there will be long-term sustainability in their business and therefore long-term impact as well. And this is where the partnership with CTI PFAN comes in, because to be frank, Energy for All, we're just a small team in ADB, and we do not have the resources to actually source projects from Asia and the Pacific, and then analyze them, sort them out, figure out which are the best projects, the most credible ones to share to investors. And this is where CTI PFAN excels at. And they've been doing this for so many years. I've been with the CTI PFAN back in 2010. And from there, I can see they have a lot of success in terms of helping project developers gain access to financing. And we want to tap into that expertise. So later on today, you will see the product of almost half a year of mentoring, coaching. And out of the 10, there are 7 actually who are energy access companies which we are supporting. And we are very happy about the results. We see that they are very credible projects, and we look forward to working with CTI PFAN more and more in the future. And I guess one last thing is that one thing we want to look forward to is what happens after this investor forum. Because ADB, the Energy for All program, is there until 2016. And so if, for example, there are investors here who are interested in some of the energy access projects that are presented here today, we'd like you to know that there is Energy for All, and we have the consultant expertise to continue helping the projects improve even after the forum. And in the same way, if there are developers in the room who receive interest from investors, please let us know. And we are there to help you improve your projects further. And based on the feedback of the investors, what you're lacking, we'd like to deploy our assets properly to target those issues. And so, we are very excited, because this is the first time actually that Energy for All and ADB is supporting CTI PFAN. And we've been very happy with the results. So we look forward to continuing this process. So I'd like to thank Peter Story, Elmer, Holt, and Taiki, for including us in this whole process. And I don't want to delay any further, and I'd like to thank everybody for your attention.
Lastly, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our guest of honor, Mr. Edwin Khew, Chairman of Sustainable Energy Association of Singapore, to give us keynote address.
Distinguished speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to all of you, and most welcome to this third edition of the Asia Forum for Clean Energy Financing and Business Plan Competition, or AFCEF-3, as we refer to it. We're still within the 15 days of the Chinese New Year. So may I, on behalf of all here and in Singapore, wish you a happy, healthy, prosperous, and most importantly, a successful year of the water snake. In Chinese, we say, 新年快乐, 万事如意. So this is actually to wish you everything that is good, and particularly those who are promoters, this is the time where I wish you all the best in today's competition. May I extend also a special welcome to those who are foreign guests who have come all the way to Singapore for this competition. And we here in Singapore wish you a very pleasant stay. Apologize for the wet weather, but after all, it's the year of the water snake. So of those of you who believe in that, I think a lot of us here believe that it's because of climate change. We've had the worst month in our history in terms of rainfall. We've got 3 times as much as we normally get. And what we've got actually in this month probably is as much as we get in the whole year of Singapore. So let's hope the weather remains and that you have some time to enjoy our wonderful city while you're here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure we're all aware that globally our civilization is still very much dependent on fossil fuels. And this is creating increasing concerns for economic stability, environmental degradation, social political friction, and the resulting impact on sustainable growth. Examples are many, where we see growing intensity of droughts, hurricanes, typhoons, causing floods and mudslides. And just last week, the worst snow blizzard the US has seen, disrupting travel, businesses, affecting the lives of many. For these reasons and for many other reasons, we see daily in our news and media, there is an urgent international movement, both government and businesses, across the world's economies to seek alternative, long-term solutions to diversify their energy portfolios. And this is only one major solution. And thereby reducing emissions of CO2 and also the risks caused by potential peak oil scenarios, which threaten sustainable economic growth. Japan has initiated a major shift towards diversifying their energy mix by implementing a 2 gigawatt increase in solar generation by the end of this year, with a robust feed-in tariff mechanism to boost clean energy uptake nationally. German Chancellor Angela Merkel announced plans to exit from nuclear energy by 2020 and replacing it with renewable energy. By 2020, Germany will produce as much as 40% of its energy from renewable sources, a very impressive target for the most heavily industrialized countries of Europe. The sustainability mandate is even more evident here in Singapore. Being a small island state with limited renewable resources, we import everything, including the gas that generates the power that lights up this building and the air conditioning here. So Singapore has taken a major step to develop the island into a clean tech hub of Asia, investing more than 700 million Singapore dollars into clean tech R&D, of which 195 million is allocated for development of clean energy. Dedicated facilities for clean tech researchers have been instituted, focused on cutting-edge research on sectors of wind, technologies regarding wind, solar, and tidal energy, electrical vehicles, smart grids, fuel cells, and sustainable buildings. I believe we're one of the few countries in the world that have mandated sustainable buildings as a requirement. So all buildings built henceforth have to meet certain criteria or get green mark. And I think the minimum green mark is silver. So you have to get a minimum of silver or gold. And obviously the top award is platinum. We have also placed emphasis on the deployment of clean energy solutions, with the most recent being a 3-megawatt solar installation on a local residential estate, a 2-megawatt floating solar PV pontoon in one of our reservoirs, and a 6.3 megawatt biomass cogeneration plant, the new Gardens by the Bay. And I would suggest that if you have time, you should go and visit our Gardens by the Bay. Making Singapore a living lab for innovation in the sustainable energy sphere. In Asia, energy security and access as a result of rapid growth is a pressing issue and is one of the key limiting factors to sustainable economic and social development. According to a recent report by the US Department of Commerce, China's latest 5-year plan calls for $473 billion worth of project developments in clean energy scheduled for 2015. In Southeast Asia, the combined capacity of renewable energy in 2015 will increase 5-folds from levels of 2010 in 6 key ASEAN countries, namely Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand. We have not seen growth of this scale in renewable energy until now. While this growth is impressive, we do need to pay attention to the growing disparity between economic development and widening social and economic gaps, which are leading to energy poverty globally. There are more than 600 million people in Asia today who have no access to power for simple lighting. We take it for granted, we turn on a switch and we get light. A lot of people in Asia don't have this. And there are also close to 1.8 billion with no energy for cooking. They still depend on biomass and dung. Some projects seeking investments cater to addressing these issues are being supported under the Asian Development Bank's ADB Energy for All. This partnership, E4All, is co-chaired by SEAS, and I serve as a co-chairman to support such bankable and scalable bottom-of-the-pyramid initiatives. Many of us here are well aware that technology is only part of a bigger solution that must be put to bear. Only with proper financing can a project take off to become commercially viable and profitable. Singapore, in this respect, is proud to have established itself as Asia's financial hub, and thus a great location for financing platforms such as AFCEF and the professionally coached projects that will be showcased today. Every year, we see an increase in the number of good quality projects seeking financing and opportunity to cater to the growth and demand in the rapidly growing Asian market. Charles has mentioned that we have 7 projects that are focusing on access in terms of energy, and I wish all these companies success in their bid. The key to a successful realization of this growth lies in the bankability of these projects that demonstrate the high-quality investment potential due to their scalability and dilution of risk. These are the kinds of projects that have been handpicked and coached for the AFCEF and will be presented to you today. I'm sure many investors and bankers are eager to hear from these project promoters, and SEAS is happy to play a role to host and support this competition. I would therefore like to close, allow the promoters to get on with their presentation, but before doing so, I would like to thank CTI PFAN, the Asian Development Bank, USAID, Asian Development Bank, the Economic Development Board of Singapore, the dedicated regional project mentors, and other supporting organizations for their commitment to picking and coaching these projects that will be shared with you today. I wish all the project proponents the very best in their fundraising activities today, and look forward to seeing all of you next year in ACEF-4. Thank you very much.